Just kidding.
Oh,
Are you ready? Okay, here we go.
morning, fellow Toastmasters.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Who is familiar with this pie chart? Okay. So from a young age, we are told to budget. We allocate 50% to our needs, 30% to wants, and then 20% to savings and investments. So most of us have a plan for each of these buckets. So with our needs, it could be food and gas expenditures, right? Rent, mortgage. Wants could be funding a nice car, paying for a nice vacation. Then we have our investments. That could be as simple as creating Roth IRA and then dollar cost averaging into the S&P 500. It could be a bit like Mr. Jonas over here and purchase the orange pill, also known as Bitcoin. Shout out to his last week's speech. And then we have savings, which most of us is just putting emergency fund money into a traditional savings account. A plan that gets you 0.01% interest, which is essentially nothing. Is that a plan you really want? I personally don't. So with this speech, I wanted to go over a few ways you could optimize your savings.
All right.
So hope this works. So method one is a high yield savings account. Here are a few examples. As you can see, it varies from 4.5% to 5.35% in these examples. And what's nice about that is you'd be earning a real return even after accounting for taxes. And a real return here is just the nominal return of the product minus inflation. Inflation was 3.1% the last month. So you have a gain in purchasing power, if that makes sense. A few things to note about a high yield savings account. The yield changes. The yield just fluctuates depending on what the Federal Reserve does with interest rates. I highly recommend choosing an FDIC insured bank. This essentially means that the US government will insure up to $250,000 of your own money. But there is a caveat to that. The money could be payable over a 99-year period. So make sure whatever bank you choose does wire transfers to heaven, or hell in my case. And then finally, we have account minimums. Again, you want to meet the minimum threshold to avoid incurring any unnecessary fees. Method two is sign up bonuses. Again, to me, this is pretty cool. I hadn't really given much thought to this. So essentially, banks will give you a cash bonus if you put in a certain amount of money within a certain time period. So the bank on the left is Laurel Road. They are willing to give you a $300 cash bonus for putting in $2,500 within a 60-day time period. So that's a 12% return in 2 months, which is pretty damn good if you ask me. A few things to note about these accounts as well. Doing this method, again, account minimums, you want to avoid any unnecessary fees. So Laurel Road has no account minimum, which is nice. Chase, on the other hand, so you can get the $200, but then the minimum threshold is $1,500 for the account. And if you fall below the $1,500 threshold, they'll charge you $12 a month, which is just nuts. And then duration risk. So if you close an account too early, the bank could take the cash bonus away. So I highly recommend keeping an account open 6 months to a year. So, and then method three is T-bill and chill. So what is a T-bill? So a T-bill is essentially a short-term debt instrument that's issued by the US Treasury with an expiration date of less than a year. And the Treasury issues this to help the government pay down debt and manage expenses. And for those of y'all who don't know, our government was 33 trillion in debt for this month at least. It's insane. Few things to note. You can buy a T-bill on the Treasury Direct website, and you normally this is a mouthful. You normally buy a T-bill at a discount to its face value / worth, and any interest you make will be reflected in the face value you receive. at the expiration date. One's like, what the hell did you just say? So I came prepared. I made an illustration. So you can buy a T-bill, just say today, that's worth $100 for $95. And then 52 weeks later, you get the hundo deal. So you'd have made $5 on a $95 investment. So that's a 5.26% interest rate. So that's essentially the equivalent of just putting a 95 bucks into the bank, giving you 5.26% interest, essentially. It's pretty cool. One thing to note is a big pro is the taxes. You get charged federal taxes on the interest you make, but no state or local. And then because of the shorter duration, it's a higher turnover strategy. Like every year you'd have to buy a T-bills. That makes sense. And so to conclude, I will leave you all with an analogy. You know how to keep our bodies healthy and strong. We have to exercise, right? And if we don't, our bodies will whittle away. Same thing applies to cash. If you don't exercise it, inflation will weaken it, period. But at the end of the day, the choice is yours. You could either have pennies or you could have time.